G'day folks, it's Dragon. Topic of this video today, this evening actually, sitting beside a nice little campfire here, is feral dogs. Now, in my area we've got a big problem with feral dogs. Not dingoes, well not just dingoes, but domestic dogs gone wild. Now, not so very long ago, we had problems with them in our house yard, and for a couple of days or so, one of our dogs went with the alpha male, which was trying to form a new pack. Problem with feral dogs, when they're feral, and they've been feral for a long time, or they've been bred out in the wild, is that the genetics come through where in some dogs they can be very, very dangerous. It's sort of like a default genetic, because these dogs survive very well in the wild. They're very fast, very smart, very elusive, and at times when there's a shortage of food, natural food, when they go hunting, whether it's native animals, or where they hit a farm, bring down sheep and stuff like that, then they become a threat to humans. The survival instinct is about food, water and breeding, and that's pretty well basically it. Not so long ago, as I said, I lost one of my dogs for a little while in bushland, and honestly it's easier to find a needle in a haystack than try and find this pack. It was a newly formed pack, 3 dogs, or 4, 3 or 4 of them, and are roaming the area, but they're keeping low during the day. I drove around the area trying to find these dogs, and generally speaking during the day they're not usually very active unless there's a scarcity of food. With all the rain we've had over the last few months at least, wildlife is breeding up, and come here, and they're finding it quite easy to get food. However, some dog packs have been coming into houses, house yards, farms, that sort of thing like that, and some of them have been quite savage, quite aggressive towards humans, and some of these dogs, the hunting instinct comes out in them, are big dogs. And if you're attacked by one, just the sheer weight of one will pull a full human adult down. And if you've got a pack, a well organised pack, then you're in serious trouble. It's very hard to defend yourself, because once the alpha dog comes in, the other male dogs will come in after him. And that's the way they work with livestock. They pull it down, and then the other male dogs come in and finish the kill. Then it's usually shared with the rest of the pack. Now, it's not a situation that's only confined to the bush. You can get these dog packs running around urban areas at night. The ones that came into my place, it changed the ball game for me as far as hunting goes. I've been used to hunting for food since I was a teenager. Goats, rabbits, that sort of thing. Small game usually. But these dogs were aggressive. They had threatened my wife. Fortunately, she called our dog and she came straight up to the door. The other dogs tried to follow her in the door and she slammed the door in their face. The ball game changed because I'm no longer reasonably skilled at hunting food or game for food, small food, but you're now fighting an aggressor. And these dogs are savage. You've got to watch them around kids. I have heard unconfirmed reports in my area where young kids on large properties walk up to the front gate, check the mailbox, whatever the case may be, and these dogs have been stalking them. Now, well organised pack, they work very well together, and they work on the same principle as the wolf pack. You've got the alpha male, you've got the other males, and the breeding females, and when they're well organised, doesn't matter whether it's a human or livestock, they're in for the kill. So, as I said, the ball game changed for me, and I had to rethink the tactics, think how the dog pack works. I've done a bit of research into it over the years, and the only way to get these dogs and dispose of them, shoot them. I don't particularly like using baits. I prefer to shoot them. Instead of me chasing them all over the countryside, trying to find them, particularly in thick bush, they are very elusive, they are very alert, their senses are extra heightened, their hearing, their smell, and so on. The strategy I had to change. I had to get them to come to me, and what I did was just set out some fresh meat. I knew they were packing at night, moving around at night. I'd seen fresh tracks in an early morning dew, and I thought, well, I've got to change the tactics, and that's what I did. My wife and I worked in shifts. I went to bed early because these dogs usually come out foraging for food. They'll hit houses and stuff like that if it's easy food to get. And I was going to take the late shift around about midnight. Shortly before midnight she came and woke me up. She said, "We've got our dog back, but there were two feral dogs in the yard and they were very aggressive. They turned towards her, bared their teeth, and they snarled at her, and that's not good. That's not good at all." Fortunately, she was in a good protective position where they couldn't get to her. So the meat trap worked. It brought the dogs in to one central point where they were easier access for me to shoot. And yes, I did get one. Now, when you're talking about feral dogs, quite often in large-scale natural disasters, and this is what's happened in my area over the years with floods and so on, a lot of domestic dogs, pets, are abandoned through no fault of the owners most of the time, or the dogs get lost or displaced, or where search and rescue teams can only pull people out but they have to leave their pets behind. Well, these domestic dogs, their survival instincts kick in, they've got to eat, and off they go into the bush to find whatever they can find to eat. And they form packs, very efficient in bringing down game or anything like that. It's been a growing problem in our area since the devastating floods about 2.5 years ago. The authorities have tried baiting programs, and that hasn't worked very well. And I'm not a big advocate of laying baits in the bush for wild dogs, so the wildlife gets into it too. So I know on the forum, Survival HQ, the topic has been brought up about feral dogs, and from my personal experience recently, you've got to change your tactics. You've got to think, do some research on how dog packs behave. and you've got to change your hunting tactics. It's no longer a game of hunting for food. You're now hunting to kill an aggressor that's likely to turn and kill you, and that's the bottom line. I don't get any enjoyment out of it, shooting dogs, but when they're a threat to humans, children, and my own dogs, they come first. I'm not a trophy hunter, and some of these dogs are quite large, very big. So you need to look at the types of rifles you're using. The one I was using Subsonics 22 long rifle at night with a laser sighter on it and a small LED torch. It's actually the first time I've used it at night, and it was successful, but it took 3 shots to bring this dog down. First one was a marginal one, snapshot, which wounded it in the front leg, slowed it down. So it was a case of finishing it off. Now, the final 2 shots were kill shots, but because I was using Subsonic 22 ammunition, hollow points, they didn't have the hitting power, and I had to put another bullet in it. It's something I didn't, as I said, it's something I don't enjoy, but it had to be done. I had to remove my emotion from the situation and look at it logically. These dogs are dangerous. So folks, that's pretty well it. In the case of feral dogs, it's not like hunting game for meat, where you know the game trails, you know the habits of the animals, whether it's deer, goats, whatever the case may be. Feral dogs write their own rules in the bush. Very hard to find. So it's a case of what I did was looked at the situation and changed tactics and set a meat trap. It was just normal meat, wasn't poisoned, wasn't anything in it, because I knew that they were foraging around houses, picking up what they could, and bring them to me so that I could deal with the situation. And that's quite often the case when you're hunting predators that are a threat to human life. That was my primary concern, is that you have to change your hunting tactics sometimes, and I had to. Huge learning curve for me. We've still got a wild dog problem. We've still got one coming in our yard, and I'm going to have to set it up again, because this particular one has been sighted by other people, and that dog has challenged those people. It has bared its teeth and it's gone into, well, 2 steps off attack mode, and it is a big dog. When they charge you, they got enough weight and muscle to knock you down on the ground. Once you're down on the ground, that's it. That's pretty well it. None of the Rambo stuff by sticking in with a knife, because they go for the arms and the legs to disable you. And then once that's done, it's usually the neck or the stomach. That's the instincts coming out of them. That's the hunting instincts, and that's the way they pull down game. And they do the same to humans. So folks, that was my experience. I didn't get any enjoyment out of doing it. I had to remove my emotions because, as I said before, it was a dangerous situation. It was life-threatening to my wife. Had she have gone outside, it was dark, she wouldn't have seen them, and there were 3 or 4 of them. So fortunately we got our dog back, and we still got a wild dog problem around the house, and I'm going to have to look at doing the same again very soon to get that, particularly that a very aggressive alpha dog, because he's going to try and form a new pack. So that's my story, folks. Sad as it is, that's the reality of it, and it's not just in the bush, it can happen in urban areas as well. So something to think about. These dog packs are not something to be trifled with. Alright, thanks for watching. Catch you later.